Welcome you all to the course on defects in materials. In the last class, we have looked at an elegant methodology with which we can find out the direction in which the force is going to act on the dislocation, okay, and what will be the magnitude of the force. Both aspects we have looked at it. Now let us look at the case where if many dislocations are present, around each dislocation there could be some internal stresses which are there present, different directions in which the forces can operate on them. Let us try to derive an expression for the forces between the dislocations. This can be done. First we will do in a qualitative way to understand it, and then we try to go in a derive a quantitative expression. Okay. Let us assume the case that we have one dislocation. Okay, it could be an edge or a screw dislocation, it does not matter, with a bias vector B. Okay, and then another dislocation is there which is very close to it with a bias vector B. Okay, what will be the effect of this dislocation on the stress field in a sample here? What is the possibility in which we can consider it is that we assume that these are so close by. If I try to do a bias circuit around this dislocation, these two together, what will be the bias vector of this dislocation? This together will turn out to be 2B, correct? So the expression for the self energy of a dislocation E equals W we have written half GB squared, okay, logarithm of R by R0, where R0 is the core radius. Okay. Assuming this to be, since the logarithmic term we can neglect it, this will be equal to, this is for a edge dislocation. Okay. This is for a screw dislocation. So essentially G is a material constant, so essentially it depends upon W is proportional to B squared it becomes, correct? So if you look at the B squared, that's self energy, here it will be 4B squared, in this case it will turn out to be, correct? Let us take the same case where these two dislocations, one dislocation is here, another dislocation is here, in the same slip line, but it is very far away. Then if we take and find out a stress field around a particular point, we have to find out a stress due to this as well as due to this. Okay. Then the self energy due to both of them will be, one will be B squared, okay, the other one will be B squared. So the total energy due to this dislocation W will be equal to twice B squared. That means that as the dislocations are far apart, the total energy is getting reduced. That means that if we have two dislocations which are very close, they will try to repel each other so that they move far apart to reduce their overall energy. Is it clear? Right. This is essentially what is going to happen. Okay. This we can qualitatively, we can understand it. Let us take another case where that is a one dislocation, another dislocation which is there, this is the bias vector B is in this direction positive, here the bias vector B is in this direction. Okay. That is, this is something like an edge dislocation if you consider. In one, the bias vector is extra plane is in this, another extra plane is in this direction. In fact, if we use the expression of force equation which we have written earlier, that if we apply a stress in this direction, in one of this dislocation the force will be acting in this direction, in this one the force will be acting in the opposite direction. That means that this dislocation will move in this direction, this dislocation will move in the direction. When they come and meet together, the extra planes will become one on top of the other, the dislocation will vanish. That means that these dislocations are going to attract each other. Qualitatively we can understand that. Okay. A third case which we can consider is these dislocations are not the same slip plane. One dislocation in this plane, another dislocation in this plane is going to be there. What will happen when these dislocations are present like this, or one moves in this direction, another moves in this direction? The other case which we can consider it is that one dislocation like this, another dislocation is like this, but this is in one slip plane, this is in another slip plane. What is the sort of forces which will happen? Looking at it is difficult to tell, correct? We have to do some quantitative expression to find out what will be the stresses, forces which will be acting between the dislocations. This is precisely what we will be trying to look at it. Okay. What we have considered here is the case of two screw dislocations. S1 is one dislocation, S2 is another dislocation. This is in a slip plane in which it is moving. Okay. S2 is in another slip plane. Okay. Yeah. And the line direction of the dislocation for both of them, okay, is in the Z direction. Positive Z direction is this direction, this is X and this is Y. Okay. Just to differentiate between these two dislocations, I had put that Burgess vector of this dislocation is B1 and Burgess dislocation of this dislocation is B2. Okay. Most of the perfect dislocations, it will be the Burgess vector could be the same value. Okay. And in the last class, we have derived an expression for what is the direction in which the force is going to apply, right? For a generalized expression for if we apply an external stress, what will be the force? In this one, the philosophy what we have to look at it is that if there is assume that there is a dislocation which is there in this S1, okay. So essentially, if a dislocation is present at this position, at a particular position here, this dislocation will be generating some stresses. Okay. Those stresses are sigma YZ, sigma XZ. These are all the only stresses which are going to come, correct? And we know the Burgess vector of that dislocation. We can find out the strain field. We can find out what is going to be the energy corresponding to that at that point, and the rate of change of energy will give you the force which is acting, right? So that will be the force acting between a dislocation present and dislocation. This is the distance r between the dislocations. Okay, that is essentially what is being shown here. Okay, so sigma YZ and sigma XZ are essentially nothing but the stress which the first dislocation is going to act here, and in this expression F is equal to XZ into BZ minus J into sigma YZ into BZ. Okay. This is nothing but the Burgess vector of the second dislocation. Now we substitute for sigma XZ and sigma YZ the expressions which are derived. Okay. Then this force equation will turn out to be x squared plus y squared. This is how it will turn out to be. Okay. So with respect to I, if we take it, that corresponds to a force, that is, this is equal to Fx plus I into Fx plus J into Fy, we can write it. Is it not? This same expression This is with a Cartesian coordinate system which we have used. We can use a coordinate system where with respect to this x direction, angle theta, and this is r, correct? R is nothing but r squared equals x squared plus y squared. If we substitute for this expression will turn out to be this is the sort of an expression which we will be getting it, and that is what is given here. Okay. Or this should be, strictly speaking, the way we have defined it, it should be B1 and B2. Okay. B1 is the Bajs vector of the dislocation. If B1 equals B2, that will become B square, correct? This expression gives what is the force which is acting along the line, and here B1 and B2 are magnitude of the dislocations which we are taking it. Okay. If at the same type of a dislocation, B1 and B2 are in the same direction, okay, B1 and B2 if you take product, this is going to be F is going to be positive. That means the force between the dislocation is repulsive, okay, and it has a radial symmetry. So, any direction if you take it for a screw dislocation, okay, if the dislocations are lying parallel to each other, one dislocation like this, another dislocation like this parallel to each other, okay, it does not matter where it is with respect to a distance r, the same force which is going to act, and the direction in which the force is going to act is along this line joining, okay, the line perpendicular to two dislocation lines, correct? That is the direction in which the force will be acting. Suppose we assume that one has got a Bajs vector which is positive and another has got a Bajs vector which is negative. Then the force is going to be attractive one because of its negative. Okay. This is much easier to understand. Now let us look at the case between forces between two parallel edge dislocations. Okay. What will happen in the case of an edge dislocation? In the case of an edge dislocation, the force which is going to act, this expression we have derived already, okay. This is for an edge dislocation. F equals correct. This is what the force which is going to be. Now Bx will be nothing but if the second dislocation we give a Bajs vector B2, okay, assume it to be, then it will be B2, and if the first one has got B1, then we have to substitute for sigma yx and sigma xx the expression which we have derived for a stress field around a edge dislocation. If you do that, this is the sort of an expression which we will be getting it for Fx, this is the expression, and this is the expression which we will be getting it for Fy. If you use cylindrical coordinate system, then what is going to happen is that F will be, and if the Bajs vectors are the same magnitude, okay, B1 equals B2, then it will be GB squared by these are all the terms here. So, this the one term which is that I, this part corresponds to the Fx and this one will correspond to the Fy, correct. That means that the force which is going to act between the dislocations, that is what we have done is, though we have considered in this case also one dislocation which is moving in this plane, okay. With respect to this we have defined the coordinate system, okay. This is the Z, X and Y, okay, and this is the slip line of the other dislocation, okay, Other dislocation is at some height you can take it to be y0, okay, above which that slip line is going to be there, the dislocation is moving. Here we have to consider a few cases. Suppose this entire experiment which we are doing it is assumed that it is at room temperature. When we do an experiment at room temperature, the dislocations most of the time only glide on the slip line. That means that when the dislocations glide on the slip line, we have to consider the force between the dislocations in the x direction only has to be considered. At high temperatures, when the dislocation can climb, okay, at that time only we have to take the climb force into consideration. Okay. Now let us take this case of room temperature. In this particular case, we have to take only this force Fx only has to be considered. Fy we do not have to consider for the present. Okay. This is the expression for Fx, correct? And y we assume it to be some distance. What is y? Y is some distance with respect to, that is along the slip line, what is the height at which this dislocation is being present. Okay. So in this particular case, when we take x squared plus y squared, all these terms have to be taken. Okay. With respect to y remaining constant, only the x is changing. That means that suppose this dislocation is stationary, we assume that the dislocation is moving in this plane. Correct. If it moves in that plane, what is the sort of force which will be acting between the dislocations? The force which will be acting will have a component. That general force will be in this direction, one with a component in this and another in the component in this direction. We are looking at only the F component which is there in the glide plane is what we are considering it. And for these calculations, to make it easier, these distances x and y itself can be written in terms of the Burgers vector as a unit. Okay. That is essentially what is being done and shown here. Here that is one, or this can be written in terms of another way in which y is a constant. That is, this is, or I had taken it to be y0, in that figure it is given as y. So if this is constant, x can be written in terms of y0. That is only for the purpose of making the calculations simpler. And in this you take f by this factor to be the one which we are trying to plot it. Okay, become a dimensionless parameter. Okay. Now if we try to look at it, what is becoming very interesting in this case is that as the dislocations are coming close to each other, the repulsive force increases. That is, you assume that one dislocation is here, another dislocation is here. This dislocation comes close to this dislocation moving in the slip plane. Then the force is, repulsive force is increasing because both the dislocations have got the same sense of Burgers vector, that is both are either positive or negative. And then at some particular distance you find that the force starts decreases, then it becomes 0 at some particular distance, then it becomes from repulsive to attractive, again it changes direction. That is, as the dislocation you assume that it moves from here and reaches this point, just going on top of it, various positions we can assume this dislocation has moved. So at each of the position when we see, as it comes close up to a particular point it becomes repulsive, then from here to here it becomes attractive, then from here to here it becomes repulsive, okay, then again become attractive. That is the way it is going, right. So this, if you look at this expression itself, it becomes very clear. In this expression, that for the expression for Fx, if x becomes equal to y, then it becomes Fx becomes 0. Okay. That is a value in between what is essentially going to happen, the repulsive forces will start decreasing, right, reaches a maximum, start decreasing, reaches 0. Then you can see that the similar thing should happen on the other side, and for value of x greater than y, okay, s squared minus y squared, if we see it, this is going to be always a positive quantity, okay, that is where the repulsive is going to be there. Then the other case, when x squared, x and y are positive, but y is greater than x, then it will become negative, correct. So it becomes attractive. That is why this force term, when we look at it, we have this sort of a force which is acting on the dislocation. So there are regions as the dislocations are moving in the slip plane, okay, repulsion, then repulsion decreases and it becomes 0, then it becomes attractive, okay. Then it changes. What will be the consequence of this sort of a motion? Especially let us look with respect to that expression here. When theta becomes 0, that is theta becomes 90 degree, that is 1 on top of, that is when this dislocation comes here on it, this angle theta becomes, with respect to this, theta becomes 90 degree, okay. Then what it becomes? It becomes 0, force is 0, correct. That means that when a dislocation is moving from here to here like this, if it tries to remain on top of it, the force which is going to be there in the x direction is going to be 0. That is a low energy configuration as far as the stresses are, forces acting between the dislocations, right. That is what it would try to prefer. Suppose the two dislocations have a different bias vectors. One is a positive and another is a negative, okay. Then what will happen is that these force directions will change. That is what essentially is being shown in the other curve, okay. A and B correspond to that. So the effect of it is that, suppose we have one dislocation and another dislocation which is of the same sign, which they are, one assume that both are moving. When they are moving, if they move and at some position, this is a position in which this dislocation has reached, it has reached, in this configuration it has a minimum energy, right. It will try to maintain that because the force in the x direction becomes 0. Okay. Suppose that is a dislocation in this, a dislocation is in the same slip plane is there, this will attract each other and cancel. The other case is that instead of it, this dislocation is going to be there here. Now what it is going to happen is that when these dislocations are going to be making an angle of 45 degree, this is going to be a minimum energy configuration for the effects. So they will try to remain in that configuration, it can be there. What is essentially is going to happen is that the dislocations get attracted, positive edge dislocation and negative edge dislocation, they will be attracting each other, so they will try to come together. At some position, that is a minimum, the force is going minimum, that is the configuration we try to. Now if the dislocation has to move, both of them have to move together. That they will not be able to move independently. When we start with, the dislocations are randomly distributed, okay, are generated at small, that is when the density of dislocations is very small and the dislocations are very far away, the interaction between the dislocations is not going to be very effective. But as the dislocation density increases, then we find that the dislocations move. There are positions where the dislocations can come together. Now it has become like they have become a coupled dislocation, okay. Now the stress which will be required is to make this couple itself to move, okay. This sort of situation, when it happens, when you have a positive dislocation and one edge dislocation on two different lines joined together like this, you know what it is called? This is called as dislocation dipoles. And this dipole has to move together. What is a dipole? Dipole is nothing but yes, dislocation, the same with the same sense vector, but Burgess vectors different. Okay. And if they are on the slip plane, now they cannot come and join together, okay, at room temperature. But the minimum energy configuration is in this position, so it has to move like this. Okay. This is how a dislocation dipole will form during deformation. This is considering at room temperature. Now, let us consider the high temperature case. What will happen at a high temperature? Okay. At high temperature, we have to consider this force Fy which is going to act, right, because Fy is the force which is acting between the dislocations, that component. Okay. Because any direction, the net force is going to be always between these dislocations in this direction. But this we are splitting it up into a component which is Fy and a component which is Fx. At room temperature, Fx is the only component which is important, because now the dislocation, if it has to climb, the vacancies have to be generated and the vacancies have to be mobile, or the vacancies should diffuse into it to climb up or down, correct? So, when at temperatures where the vacancy movement becomes important, then what will happen? If you have lot of dislocations which are present in the material and the dislocations are randomly distributed like this, okay, and some dislocations may be like this. So, this dislocation and this dislocation, two different planes. Let us consider this case between this one and this particular one. Okay. One, because of the force, glide force which is going to be there, these two come at a particular position, that is the minimum energy configuration which it will reach. Then the climb force can make the dislocation emitting vacancies or absorbing vacancies to climb up, okay, and then these two can come together and cancel each other, correct. So, this is what it will happen between dislocations with positive and negative Burgess vectors. Okay. This, let us take the case, what is the situation in which this sort of a phenomena can occur, this sort of a process can occur is, suppose I have a sample which I have deformed at room temperature, cold work sample, and as you know, the cold work sample, the hardness is very high. Now I wanted to reduce the hardness, for which I take it to a temperature close to 0.5 Tm, okay, annihilate. Then these dislocations will start moving and rearranging themselves. So, in that process, all the positive and negative, the dislocations, because the number need not be that same, right. The density of the dislocations with positive Burgess vectors and negative Burgess vector need not be the same, but they will be moving and cancelling each other. Then if they annihilate by this process and they are removed, but what about these dislocations with only edge character which are going to be present? That is the dislocations with not edge or screw, but with the same Burgess vector direction, they are going to be present. Okay. We assume that only this sort of dislocations will be present like this, na? Randomly distributed now, because the other dislocations, positive and negative, in this case have annihilated. Now, in this particular case, how will these dislocations interact? The force is going to be essentially a repulsive force, correct? So, this repulsive force, if we try to look into this expression, this gives what is going to be the force between the dislocations. When they are above each other, this term, the x term is going to be 0, correct? Okay. This will reach a value of a minimum value, okay, repulsive, but then what will happen is that here that force in f direction, okay, that component is going to be 0 when they are above each other. Now, these dislocations will try to arrange themselves into one on top of the other. This we call it as a polygonization phenomenon, correct? You might have studied this is what a polygonization is. That is, dislocations move and arrange themselves one on top of it. Essentially, this creates what we call it as a small angle boundary. So, if the dislocations are randomly distributed, the forces between the dislocations is going to be high. Okay. If they arrange in this sort of a configuration, the forces between the dislocations get reduced considerably. This is a more stable configuration. This is how during recovery process lot of small angle boundaries are generated in the material. And then dislocations with positive and negative bias vectors, they climb up, okay. That process also will take place. In addition to it, as we have seen, they are attracted to each other also. Both these processes will lead to the annihilation of dislocations with positive and negative sense. That's either for screw or for edge dislocation. That is, the forces between dislocations which are of either edge character or screw character, but they are parallel to each other. That's another case which we can consider is, suppose it's the same dislocation, okay. This is how this dislocation is there, and there is going to be another dislocation which is being present somewhere else here, okay. We assume that there is a dislocation which is there. This is a bias vector in this is in this direction, here bias vector is in this direction. Line direction remains the same for both of them, but one is in this slip plane, another is in another slip plane, the height, correct? That is, this dislocation has got a bias vector in this direction, this dislocation bias vector is in this direction. So, bias vectors are perpendicular to each other, the line directions are the same. But these two dislocations, there is neither attraction nor repulsive forces will come between them. If you look at this expression, this is for an edge dislocation, correct? And if the dislocation at the origin turns out to be a screw dislocation, okay, this stress doesn't generate this stress, internal stress, nor this stress it will generate, right? So, because of that, the force between the dislocations, just you can say just 0, it does not matter. Whereas dislocations, whether it is screw or edge dislocations, the same type of dislocations, that is what we talked about so far, is with respect to if these are all are edge dislocations, but one with a positive bias vector and another with a negative bias vector. This is how they will try to annihilate each other. The same thing will happen for screw dislocations as well. Okay. So, these expressions give us a quantitative way of finding out what is the sort of forces which will be acting between two types of dislocations. In fact, here we have considered only dislocations which are parallel to each other. It can so happen that we can have one dislocation is lying like this, okay. There is another dislocation which in this way also dislocation could be there. They could be edge or they could be a screw character. There are various ways in which the dislocations will be lying with respect to one another in real materials, correct, when they are being deformed. Okay. Using these expressions, okay, we have only just looked at between parallel edge dislocations or parallel screw dislocations, but with parallel dislocation with one edge component, okay. For one, that bias vector is in one direction, the line directions are parallel, but for another edge dislocation, the bias vector of both of them are perpendicular to each other. There are so many cases which we can consider. All these things have to be considered in real systems to find out the sort of forces which will be acting between them, and These are all the forces which are going to decide what sort of microstructure which will evolve in the material when the process of recovery takes place, or when we do an annealing of a material. That will also tell how the hardness is going to change or how the strength is going to change, correct? So, this information is very much necessary. Essentially what we have looked at it is that forces between dislocations we have considered qualitatively as well as how to quantify these forces. Okay. What is the effect of this force on real examples of when we do recovery of that is deformed samples when we try to anneal them. Okay. What is the way in which the dislocations annihilate each other and how different cells or small angle boundaries they are forming in the material. Okay. That is what we have looked at it. In the next class, what we will try to consider it is that we so far considered about the high temperature, but about the high temperature process we mentioned that the dislocation climbs up and they annihilate both the force. But we did not talk about what will be the effect of the consequence of climb on the concentration of vacancies in the material, what will be the effect of these vacancies on forces which it will generate. This aspect we will look at the next class. We will stop here now.